Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with ParaNorman. This is a donation reward for Sweet Venom, and this was not my original choice for the second movie this week. I was going to do a different movie, but I basically decided to do this because of time. The other movie I was going to do is over 2 hours long. This one's about an hour and a half. I decided I don't want to do a longer movie today. Like, 2 hours long is not that much longer. Again, only basically a half an hour longer, but um, I just didn't want to do a longer movie today. There was also the genre of the movie. Um, the other movie was a different genre than this, and I just didn't want to go into that genre today either, just based on what I was feeling. So, although it was my original intent to do a different film, we're getting to this instead, just based on what I'm feeling, and that's basically the rules. That's basically how these donation reward films go. I get to whatever I'm in the mood for. Um, they're pretty consistent. Like I consistently get to them each week, but it's still like whatever I'm in the mood for at the time is what I react to. And although I had a different plan at first, it's like this just kind of goes to prove that. This just goes to prove that sometimes if I'm planning something at the start of the day, when I actually get to recording it, my mood might switch. And that's happened before with other stuff. Like there's been days where it's like, oh, I'm going to record these certain shows, and I only record like one or two of them instead of all the ones I'm planning because it's like, oh, I just want to be done for the day. It happens. And I'm not going to tell you what that other movie was going to be because we're still going to get to it in the future. It's just I wasn't in the mood for it today in terms of its genre and length. But ParaNorman. So this is an interesting movie because I've seen clips here and there. So there's a couple things I do know about this. Um, but I've never seen the movie outright. I've seen stuff like Frankenweenie, I've seen Monster House, but I've never seen this one. I know they're all kind of usually lumped into the same kind of category, but yeah. Um, I'm definitely interested. What I know about it that I'm gonna reveal right here, because I'll tell you the other stuff I know when we get to that in the film. Because I don't want to spoil anyone who might be watching this for the first time with my reaction. But the things I do know that won't spoil anything is obviously it centers around paranormal shit. Um, it centers around a lot of just the supernatural kind of stuff, but obviously delivered in a way that's not going to be too dark. Though to be fair, maybe that could even be wrong because um, have you seen some of these like animated horror themed movies that seem to be like marketed to kids? It's like Corpse Bride is fucking horrific if you actually like think about everything that's happening and being shown. It's like Corpse Bride is really mature for being a kids film, quote unquote. Um, and it's like a lot of this stuff you see, it takes that route too. Like Frankenweenie wasn't too bad, Monster House wasn't too bad, but like some of these, it's like actually gets surprisingly dark, like actual dark too, not just using that as an aesthetic. Um, and it helps that Corpse Bride was Tim Burton and everything, so there's that. But still, it's kind of shocking to see that. Now, I know what the character designs in this look like, and I know that like Frankenweenie and Nightmare Before Christmas have like a few fan theories, and what's the other word? Um, there There's a word for it, and don't you hate when that happens? They're headcanons, that's it. There are fan theories and headcanons that a lot of people have with this film and Frankenweenie and Nightmare Before Christmas. I know about those. And I've heard people talk about this movie. So again, there's certain things that once we get to them in the film, I'll tell you like, oh, I already knew about that. That's something that I had heard about or seen clips from before. Stuff like that. I'll let you know when that happens. But yeah, it's a pretty popular film. I've heard a lot of great feedback from a lot of people. But again, I've never actually seen it myself. There was the thing is, I've seen so much, like so many out of context clips here and there, and seen so many people talking about it that there was actually a point where I actually thought I did see it, but then it's like seeing the character models again reminded me. It's like, oh no, I'm thinking of other stuff. I was thinking of the likes of Frankenweenie and Monster House and all that. This is one I've never actually seen in its entirety. Surprisingly so. Because it's like these kind of movies are definitely up my alley. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how the stuff I do know is integrated into this, because again, it's mostly out of context too. You gotta take into account. But yeah, this is gonna be a fun one, I think, or at least I hope. So, all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get this started. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. At least I knew that was coming. Because after it fades black and fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode, or to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Fucking damn it, Studio Laika. There is now only one movie from Laika that I have never seen, and that's the most recent one, Missing Link from 2019. Not counting ones that are going to be coming up, like Wildwood. I've seen Coraline, I've now seen ParaNorman, I've seen the Box Trolls, I've seen Kubo and the Two Strings. So yeah, Missing Link is the only one I haven't seen. And the thing that all of these have in common is that I really love all of them. Like, obviously, everyone loves Coraline. Coraline is extremely well-loved. ParaNorman has gotten a lot of positive attention as well. Box Trolls I don't hear people talk about as much, but I have heard plenty of positive reception. And Kubo and the Two Strings was a little mixed. But the people who love it really love it, myself included. Yeah. You saw how that affected me. And I called it. I knew it was going to happen. I knew I was going to cry because I realized what the themes of this were going to be from pretty early on. I understood that it was going to delve into things that were very personal for me. And it got very personal. I'm a trans woman. And I'm also autistic. And always have been, very nerdy. All of these factors have contributed over my life to make me feel like a social outcast. I've had people look down on me because of the way I act, the way I talk, my reclusiveness, my interests, and eventually my sexuality and gender. I have had people say and do horrible things to me because of it. I have been bullied. I have been abused. I have been just shown insane bigotry from people I considered to be friends and family, all because I'm different, because I don't fit into their mold. And it hurts. And there's a lot of times where I want revenge, where I would love to get back at them for it. It goes through my mind all the time. And it's not even just stuff like directly personal to me. It's stuff that affects all trans people, for example. Like a lot of the conservative and right wing bills and stuff they're trying to put along that would basically criminalize being trans. I without question have moments of wanting these kinds of people who put through that bigoted hatred dead. And that's, I feel normal. And a lot of people like look down on those who think that way, but it's like, it's normal to think that way, to see people who hate you and treat you with contempt, and to wish that they were gone, to believe that the world would be better off without them. Of course, it doesn't mean that we're going to act on it. It's just, it's a feeling. It's a natural, normal, defensive feeling. And it's something that we have to work through, that we have to process. And it's correct that the cycle of hate isn't going to solve anything. Not saying that you shouldn't hate bigotry and that kind of stuff. You should. But by just continuing this vicious cycle, by continuing to just spread that same kind of vileness, it doesn't solve anything. Defend yourselves and others, yes, but know where to stop. Know the limits. Don't become like them. And even if it sometimes would feel good to get your revenge, you have to know when to stop and take a look at yourself and make sure that you don't become the monster that you're fighting against. And it's hard. It's really hard. Especially when you've been treated that way. And while it doesn't always go that way for every single person, there are people who are killed, even in this day and age, for being different. I hear stories all the time of trans people murdered just for being trans. And their killers get away with it because of the trans panic defense. I just hear terrible things, even in 2023, that make me sick, that upset me to the point of crying myself to sleep, and that make me want revenge. But what is that revenge going to do? What is giving into that fear going to do? it's just going to breed more fear. There's nothing wrong with making sure that you and others around you are safe. And there's nothing wrong with stopping the people who will destroy that safety. But again, you have to know how to handle it. And it makes you feel alone. A lot of the time, you feel like there's no one on your side. Even when you know that's not true, you have that impression because it feels like the whole world's against you. And it is so painful. It is so absolutely painful that it's kind of unbelievable. But there's almost always someone who's willing to be there for you. I lost a lot of friends and a lot of people I thought were close to me when I came out. When I started to tell people I'm a girl, my new name is Connie, this is who I am, a lot of people turned on me. And it felt like a white hot knife being thrust into my chest. People I was close with, people who I cared about, who tried to preach to me about finding truth in God because they thought I was deluded and shit. It feels like they're trying to kill you. It sounds dramatic, but it is the worst feeling. To have someone just straight up abandon you that strongly. And yet, despite that, I have made so many new friends since coming out. And so many friends I already had have supported me and shown love and understanding and have put a bandage over that stab wound, telling me it's going to be okay. And even just little things, like a cashier at a 7-Eleven calling me ma'am, has just given me life since coming out. And yes, that's a thing that really happened. Like, that's an actual example. Little things like that have just given me life since coming out, have made me able to continue on. And obviously this movie is very, like, shows the best possible outcome, even if that's not entirely realistic. It's very hopeful and everything, but not entirely realistic. Because for so many of us, we don't get that happy ending with our families. They don't just understand us, even when they see some sort of evidence of us. Not everyone just sides with us afterwards. A lot of them turn against us. So it's very idealistic, without question. But it's a movie that is marketed towards kids, even if some of the content in this is risque as fuck. Like, oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about this because this will like brighten the mood a little bit after how heavy that was for me. Ooh. Um, this kid is pausing videos of his mom in yoga pants, and it's like, oh, there is so much to unpack there. Oh my god. But it's also super realistic. Like, oh my god. Um, when kids are young and they are discovering hormonal feelings, um, they will oftentimes check some things out that they are very much too young for. And in some cases, that kids do tend to look towards familial people, not out of any like genuine, realistic interest, but just out of curiosity. For me, when I was growing up and I started like being introduced to this kind of stuff, it was most directly porn for me. I would sneak onto the computer. We had a family computer at the time. I would sneak onto the computer and find ways around the parental guidance stuff to look at porn. There was one house we were living into where there were these townhouses. They had dumpsters instead of like putting our trash cans on the street for the uh, garbage trucks to pick up. We had like communal dumpsters that would be picked up that like everybody used. And at one point, I found adult magazines in them. And yes, I took them out of the dumpster, brought them home, and read them. Not for the articles. I was a kid. I was a teenager. I was curious about that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with kids finding interest in that stuff as they grow up. That's excessively normal. And I wish I knew that growing up because I was made to feel so much shame. And oh my god, it's like insane. But it's also insane that this kind of thing was put into this movie. Like this bully kid was also super fucking horny. Alvin, I think his name was. Um, like he touched the sister's ass. He grabbed her ass when they were supposed to be holding hands. It's like, come on. This movie is surprisingly adult in a lot of ways. It's like, how did they get away with this? The grandmother calling her son a jackass? It's like, what the fuck? How did they get away with this? I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore it. And by the way, if no one caught on, every time I mentioned the witchy wieners thing, like we saw the store sign and everything, I was not talking about hot dogs. Like I was very much making an innuendo with that. Um, let's just say I've seen a lot of witchy trans girls um, online. So let's leave it there. Um, there were so many mature jokes in this, adult jokes in this that it's like, and they weren't even subtle. That's the wildest part. They weren't even subtle. They were so in your face. And I mean, the movie also touches on the fact that this 11-year-old girl was murdered under suspicion of being a witch by these old white men. It's like, okay, this is not at all subtle. It's like this movie was also surprisingly intense with its imagery and soundtrack. The voice actors like really put everything into it, and You could tell we're having fun with it. And on top of that, like I've said it with Leica before, I'm going to keep saying it. If 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 it feels like this kind of comment about this is getting old for you, then just don't watch anything related to any kind of stop motion ever again, because this should always be stated. Stop motion is art. It is pure, unadulterated art. In some ways, more so than animation, like regular hand drawn or computer done animation. The amount of work, effort, precision, and artistry that goes into stop motion is absolutely phenomenal. I stumbled over my words there because it's that impressive to me. It's phenomenal. It is just stunning. Even if the movie itself is just kind of mediocre, like Phil Tippett's Mad God was for me, it's like the stop motion is undeniably an absolute feat of artistry. And Leica, let's be fucking honest here. Leica are the current day, like, masters of this art form. No one does it better. Like, Phil Tippett's Mad God, great stop motion. Not as good as Leica. I'm sorry, Leica has mastered this art form. And whether it's Box Trolls, whether it's even their first movie, Coraline, or ParaNorman, it looks so fucking good at all times. There is not a single moment that it doesn't look like an absolute masterpiece of visual storytelling. I will always stand up for stop motion animation. It is pure art. And one of the most impressive art forms out there, without question. So obviously it visually looked stunning, is what I'm getting at, clearly. Um, this movie was fantastic. Like, it was absolutely wonderful. It, I wouldn't say I like it as much as Coraline, because Coraline is something truly special in terms of its story as well. But, of course, Neil Gaiman, even though it's not a direct 100% faithful adaptation of his book, it's like, it's still pretty damn good. And Neil Gaiman himself loves it. It's so fucking good. But ParaNorman, I would say it's my second favorite Leica film. And it's actually pretty damn close. Because Box Trolls, like, I really loved, but I didn't love anywhere near as much as the others I had seen. And Kubo and the Two Strings, like, I saw that in theaters opening day. And again, I really loved it. I really did. But again, it's just not on the level of Coraline or now ParaNorman. And it's wild to me how consistently good this company is. With their stop motion, with everything. The writing, the character work, the voice actors they get. Coraline, ParaNorman, Box Trolls, Kubo, all of them are fantastic movies. I can't say for Missing Link because I haven't seen it, but I want to. I didn't want to see that initially because I didn't think it looked that interesting, but now I really want to because I'm thinking that Leica will have another hit. Will have hit that out of the park too. Like, why not? I don't even really know what that's about, other than what I can guess based on the title. But it's Studio Leica. It's probably a masterpiece. These are all masterpieces. Wildwood's probably going to be a masterpiece when that comes out. Who knows when that's coming out at this point, but when it does, I'm just continuously blown away. This movie's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And there were a couple things I knew about it because things are talked about online. This movie's over a decade old. So of course I've heard stuff. Of course I knew that the jock guy was gay. It's like, how could I not? Again, I'm very into queer representation in media. That's a huge thing for me. So of course I fucking knew he was gay. Like, I knew the general ideas behind this movie. I even knew the zombies aspect of it because that was actually spoiled for me by the person who requested this, Sweet Venom. Kind of accidentally spoiled me on that in the on Discord. um, but yeah, it's like I knew it was obviously supernatural stuff. Obviously, the title gives that away. Um, I'd seen character designs before. I did not know that the girl from the character designs was Norman's sister though. That one I just didn't know. Because I had seen her design before, and I think I had seen the scene. Yeah, I definitely saw the scene where the jock comes out, so I had seen her like confession to him and him just not even realizing he was confessing to her, but also stating like my boyfriend loves chick flicks or rom coms or whatever he said. It's like one, I just love how casual that was done. It's like just super casual and nice and yeah, just super cute. Love that. Um, but yeah, it's just there's just things I knew. I had seen some clips here and there before. I just didn't know like the whole story and everything. I just didn't know exactly what it was about. I didn't know it was going to connect with me on such a deep personal level either. That one, I did see that coming very early in the movie, but I did not know that ahead of time. Um, and I didn't think it was going to hit as hard as it did. Like I could tell where it was going with kind of its themes and everything, but I didn't know it was going to go that hard. And I was not expecting that to really resonate with me and make me just kind of ugly cry a little bit there. If I'm being honest, like I kind of ugly cried a little bit. Um, yeah, it's like I'm glad I chose to react to this movie today too. I don't know how the other movie I chose to skip for now and do it a different time. I don't know how that movie how I would have received that comparatively, but I needed this. There's been a lot of conflicting feelings I've been going through lately, and so I needed something that was just going to raise my mood this much, but also get me like to just really think about things and get emotional. Because sometimes just getting emotional and having a good fucking cry, it relieves so much tension, so much just built up emotion, and can make you feel so much better. Like, you do not know how fucking therapeutic just crying can be. It sometimes is the best feeling in the world to just cry, to just watch something that you know is going to make you bawl like a baby, but you're going to feel like $1 million afterwards. And I'm like, I don't know if it's like, if it's if it's, oh, what are the happy chemicals called? Uh, my mind's blanking. Hold on. I'm having too much happy chemicals that it's actually messing with my mind. Serotonin, dopamine, that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's like a rush of that, like if crying actually releases those kind of chemicals in your brain that cause kind of this feeling of euphoria after. Um, but I could believe it because like after a really good cry, you can, it's just like, I feel absolutely like I'm on this high right now. Like, I feel like I am on a rush. I'm not even kidding you. Like, I am like flying emotionally in the best way, of course. Um, like, I'm just like, my mind is like just really refreshed and just, it's just, it's so good. That's why I don't hide my tears and everything and reactions. That's why I don't like pretend not to cry or try to hide that. Like, on occasion, I'll try to hold it in as much as I can or whatnot, or prepare myself for that. But sometimes it's just really good to let out and just let those dams break. You know? That's why sometimes I watch stuff that I've seen plenty of times before, literally just for the purpose of crying, just to let my emotions out, just to break down those dams and refresh myself, because I know I will feel so much better afterwards. I will actively like turn on something like the Tales of Ba Sing Se from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'll turn on the Tale of Iroh segment from that episode, and I will just lose it. I will bawl like a fucking baby, and I will be at cloud nine afterwards, because it's so beautiful to just let that out and just embrace my emotions. But yeah, this this movie clearly did it for me. And this kind of movie was always going to be my wheelhouse. Like, I love the paranormal, spooky type shit. Like, you guys know that. I rave all the time about how I love non-horror shows and whatnot, to have a random episode that's just entirely horror themed, like Samurai Jack or Powerpuff Girls or whatnot. Um, I also just love movies and shows that are themed around horror, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, or this Coraline, Corpse Bride, stuff like that as well. It's just, I love that shit. It's my kind of shit. I'm really into it. So of course I was going to already be hooked in with that. But then it just ended up being so amazingly well written, with characters who are so likable and relatable, and issues that can be just compared to so many things in reality. Like, obviously it's touching on a very specific kind of trauma here, but like, you can apply this to so many things. So many instances of people not being understood and being looked down on because of their differences. You can apply this to almost anything in that regard. And the themes and ideas here will translate over. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful that it is something that is shown in a specific light, but is also vague enough to be processed into other specifics, um, other issues and whatnot in life that people can relate to. I think that's kind of some of the best storytelling, when you can do that. So yeah, clearly I am a massive fan of this. Clearly, like I said in the reaction, I wonder if there's other people's reactions on YouTube to this. I am very much looking that up. I want to see other people react to this, and I want to see other people blown away like I was. Hopefully, blown away like I was. Um, Also, this movie was just fucking sad, dude. Like, a little girl? You're gonna accuse a little girl of witchcraft in the fucking witch trials, man. Like I've studied the witch trials a little bit. Like I've done reports and stuff on them in school. My God, they were fucked up. Like seriously, extremely fucked up. The dumbest things would cause women to be accused of being witches. If a woman was too smart, she would be accused of being a witch. Like, oh my fucking God, so much sexism. Like, like the witch trials were so rooted in sexism. You have no fucking idea how sexist and misogynist they were. It's like it's not even subtle. It's just so blatantly misogynist. It's so ridiculous. But that's I've been talking for over 30 minutes on this. It's like I could go on and on about all this kind of stuff. Um, but a little girl, and it's like yeah, underage women were killed in the witch trials too. But it's like but this little 11-year-old girl, and it's like and just again, it's no secret that I get really fucked up when it comes to like kids being killed or just dying or like getting sick or being like abused or bullied. Like I get almost like this mama bear protectiveness, and it's just like I get really upset about that kind of shit. I don't even entirely consider myself a mama bear in terms of like I guess uh, archetypes, people archetypes. I feel like I'm talking about like a Diablo game or something now. um, but it's like in those kind of moments, I do like get that kind of protectiveness to me. Um, so it's just like seeing this that this entire thing is about an 11-year-old girl who was unjustly murdered for being suspected of being a witch is just the fucking worst, man. It fucks me up. Even if they did apologize after death and everything and realized they were wrong, it's like they still fucking killed a little girl, man. That's not okay. You don't do that. Uh, it's a good thing I'm having like this basically adrenaline rush right now because otherwise I would probably be falling into a depression. But no, instead I'm riding too much of a high to actually get depressed right now. But yeah, I've been talking for like 35 minutes now. You get the point. I love this movie. It was fantastic. It has some really deep themes. It has some adult humor that's wild. Um, really wild. Has a gay character who is treated with respect. Like he's a bit of a dum dum, but hey, I'm a bit of a dum dum. No harm in that. And not to mention has witchy wieners, and that is always a plus. And like I said, not talking about hot dogs. So, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this movie of ParaNorman, um, and what you thought of my reaction and all of that. And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm amused like beyond hell that I weirdly got horny at a sign that said witchy wieners. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I'm beyond help. I'm Connie. See y'all next time.